Hey guys, what's up? So welcome back to Gray's Dynamics. This video here is really to answer some questions that I've gotten on the channel. A lot of people have asked about the Moza R9 system, how I like it. You guys have watched my races, you guys have watched my other reviews of the gear that I've used. I've shown you guys my rig and my setup, and some things that I use to sim race. I don't have the best setup, but I definitely don't have the worst. And like many of you, you start this process, and I'll be honest, I've been sim racing since September of last year, so it's been a year now. And within 1 year, I went from a CSL Elite base that I bought used with some CSL pedals, and I had the McLaren wheel. I had a GT Omega Apex wheel stand, and I was racing on a dining room chair, a fold-out chair, then I used a wingback chair. Eventually, I got the GT Omega Prime set up because the price was just too good to pass up for an actual profile. And now I've upgraded to Moza, and for many of you, you saw my first video that I put out, which was the Moza R9 versus the CSL DD. At the time, that was a controversial choice because Fnatic obviously makes great gear. They've been around for quite some time. They're far more reputable in the sim racing world. So everybody was like, well, wait a minute, why switch? Why change? I even had quite a few people post some interesting comments about why am I switching to this Chinese company? Well, first, again, most if not all the gear is made in China from many of the different sim companies, but to me, I go where the quality is. I go where I can get the best value and bang for buck. And that's really what this review is about. You'll see I've got some few items up here that I have purchased from Moza. One of them was given to me free of charge, and we'll go over that. And I do appreciate Moza Racing sending out that gear to me. They sent me the Moza CS wheel that I do have. I do not have the original rim that came on it because I use it for GT racing. And I think, again, if you look at some of my other videos, then you'll see I've also posted how universal that hub that's attached to that CS wheel. So not only do I have the CS wheel and I have the round wheel here from the original hub that is sitting here, I also have the Turn Racing 305 that I've also attached to it. And this right now I'm using is the SRB Competition Wheel V2, which again, I think it is awesome, and it's Sim Racing Bay. So I'd say check that out. I did do a review of that as well. But again, this is just that 4-month follow-up review for those who are like, you know what, I'm on the fence. I have Fnatic gear. I love my CSL DD. Is it even worth jumping? So let's talk about that for a second. Originally 4 months ago, when I got and switched from CSL DD with the McLaren V2 wheel, that I had upgraded to the QR1, and I had purchased the magnetic shift pedals. Awesome. Like, did everything I wanted to do. After a while, I noticed my McLaren wheel had some creaks in it. I had to tighten up the screws because, again, when you swap out to the magnetic pedals, you do have to open it up, swap out some stuff, and then, so not sure if that loosened it at all, but it's a plastic wheel. In a nutshell, it's a plastic wheel. And I kept waiting for Fnatic to offer a GT style rim that I could use for Formula that had that 300 millimeter size at a really good price. And then I happened to see Moza, and then I saw a review by, I believe, SR Sim Racing Garage and the Sim Pit. So I really want to thank both of them for having that review up at the time. It was really new. And I had already been thinking about switching, but that kind of solidified it for me. So for the last 4 months, this is what I've been using. What you'll see here is I have the Moza R9. And again, as we know, the profile is extremely small. It is incredibly durable as far as, you know, I don't notice any heat coming from it. It's not loud. There's no clicking. Attached to it, I've got the Moza CM digital display, their dash. On my right here, which you may see on your left, but on my right, I have the Moza GS GT wheel that I did purchase myself, which I absolutely love. I use it for Formula racing now and some GT, but I did Thanks again to Moza for sending over the Moza CS wheel, which was attached to this hub, which I've now attached to the SRB. And you left my awesome sticker. You know, had to do something different. Couldn't afford one of the plates, but hey, stickers work just fine. So as you can see, this is the gear that I have. 4 months later, don't regret that decision. For me, switching from Fnatic to Moza Racing, I would do it again. And the quality is not any different, which to me is a good thing because they both put out good quality products. Although there's a caveat to them. This quick release, by far, like, I think if you've watched Boosted Media and Will, he does a review. He says from here to here, the base is the same. This stem right here, game changer. And it's a game changer because they're smart enough to go with something that's just far better. It's that NRG style quick release. It is totally worth every penny. They really outdid themselves. There's no pins. As you can see, it's a contactless point here that your wheel attaches to. Inside the quick release, which again, if you've watched any reviews, you'll see that there are pins, and I'll go ahead and pop this off so I can try and show you here. Bear with me. I got these awesome wheel stands from Designs by Boyer. Check them out. You'll see I have links, but not sure if you can see that. But inside here, there are about 5 pins that when you put the wheel on, they retract in. So unlike the Fnatic QR1 or QR Lite, which as we know is absolutely horrible, and doesn't that look cool with the gold? I mean, really. But unlike the QR1 with Fnatic, there are no pins that are going to break off. The shaft can't pull out because it's interchangeable. And I know why Fnatic did that, because they wanted to make sure all of their rims and wheels work together. And the thing about Moza is because they're coming in later to the game, they can make those enhancements and not worry about leaving somebody behind. And in many ways, for Fnatic, at some point you're going to have to upgrade. At some point they're going to come out with their QR2. But again, that's going to attach to what you already have. And if there's already fault in it, not sure that's the best case scenario. So using this R9 base with their wheels and that NRG style quick release, absolutely awesome. So again, I don't notice any torque ripple. I don't notice any, some people say notchiness in the wheel. I mean, I'll be honest, when I'm racing, I don't notice any of it. I guess if I was turning it and I wasn't racing, but even then I don't notice it. And you know, I recently had the chance to get on a SemiCube 2 Pro, which again may be my next upgrade because I am a huge fan of SemiCube, but I don't feel like I'm missing anything outside of that dynamic range. And I do think obviously it is SemiCube, so I haven't tested out an R21 to be able to compare the two. So I can't compare this to a SemiCube 2 Pro because they're in a vastly different price bracket. They're in a vastly different range. So for me, if I'm jumping in, and I know the Moza R5 is out there, the R5 is a great entry level, especially for direct drive. If you can afford to bump up, the Moza R9 is definitely worth it. Now, a few other items that I've purchased, and again, purchase of my own money, the Moza CM dash. Nice dash. By all means, does what you expect it to do. It displays data when you're racing. It connects on top here. See if you can see those screws there. You simply attach it, screw it right down on the bracket. On the back, again, hopefully you can see. I'll try and make that as best I can, but there are some hand tightening screws so you can raise and lower the screen to your own height, and it simply connects via an RJ wire right into the back here. So again, simple, easy connection, and again, does everything that you want it to do. Except it really doesn't. If you look at a previous review, and I won't go in depth, but one of the biggest downfalls of it, although they have dashes that you can use and they have a plethora of them, because you can't use aftermarket dashes, I don't use it right now. It's attached. It's not plugged in. I don't use it. I actually use an old iPhone 6s Plus so that I can use SimHub. The SimHub dashes just work for me just because when you're racing an F1 or GT, you need to know your ABS, you need to know your brake bias, you need to be able to see your tire temps, which again, pretty tricky on some games, but not on others. And SimHub just gives you the ability to customize your dashes, make any changes that you want, and be able to do whatever you want. So, the dash does what it needs to do, displays data when you're racing, just not useful data currently. They have added some dashes. Some of them look like, I believe, I've come right out of F122, which again can be totally useful, but I don't race an F122, and I think the customization would be better. Maybe Moza's thinking of adding their own level of customization so that you can take the brake bias, you can take the traction control, you can take the ABS, and you can manipulate it where you want it within their own ecosystem. And I understand why they would do that. Let's think of Apple. Apple does the same thing. They sell billions of phones pretty much, it seems like, every year. Definitely millions. So again, Moza R9 base, awesome. Would totally say to get it. 4 months later, don't regret that purchase. And I would tell everybody, go ahead and purchase, which I do have some affiliate links down below. You can also check out the website at graysdynamics.net, and you can check that out there as well and look at any of my other videos and reviews. In addition to that, I do have on my right here, again, I have that Moza GS wheel. Great. This is the reason, to be honest, why I switched. This is the reason why I decided I wanted to no longer be with Fanatec. Again, looking for a rim. If Fanatec had simply made at that time a McLaren V2 rim, but maybe something that was between the $400 and $500 range, that had the magnetic paddles, that had better clutches, that had a better feel to it, then I possibly would have upgraded. But the GS wheel, honestly, is the reason why I upgraded and switched from Fanatec to Moza. And I, again, won't regret it one bit. However, I will say that the grips on the McLaren V2 wheel felt better, just because they were rubber. Alcantara, not a fan. It's like a thin layer of somewhat soft cloth over hard plastic. When you're racing and you're squeezing onto the wheel, like there's no give. There's no girth to it. So I do think that's something that they could definitely enhance. I do know Pineapple Grips makes some different leather grips you can get for it, and they do have their chunky grips. And I'd be anxious to try one of those to see how much it enhances it. But without having that on hand and being able to try it, not personally what I think is awesome. So I think the downfall of this wheel is just the grips. But again, that's very subjective. Some of you may go, oh, I love them. I just want grips like these. And we'll talk about this in a second. But I wish they were rubber. Again, the McLaren V2 wheel, those rubber grips were pretty much, of all the things I liked on that, that's the one thing that I wish carried over onto this. Just the rubber grips. Other than that, like, again, I wear it with gloves. And with the gloves, I'm perfectly fine. I don't have any issues. I can race for hours. I've raced GT tours. Every now and then you get the hand cramps. But again, you've got all of the buttons you could possibly think of. They are backlit. You've got your magnetic carbon fiber paddles. You've got your your carbon fiber clutches here that can be mapped to anything in game. You've got your rotary encoders. You got your thumb encoders. You've got anything and everything you could use on the wheel. And again, plenty of reviews on the wheels and on the setup. And I'm not going to go that far in depth, but again, 4 months later, absolutely well worth the purchase. Again, pet peeve here. Just wish they had rubber grips that I could take off. And these are interchangeable, which is cool. But again, wish I could take these off and put on a nice thicker with some squeeze rubber grips, because I think it'd feel better in hand for me. But again, that's more of a subjective thing that you might feel completely different about. So if you were in the market Again, buying that R9 4 months later, love it, totally recommend it. Pick you up a GS wheel if you do GT racing, or if you do Formula racing. They both work. They do have their new FSR wheel, which I am anxious to try out, which has the screen right in it. But if I'm not mistaken, I did watch Will's review, and part of the issue with that was also, again, the dashes. It has its own screen on it, but if you can't customize the dash, you're just limited to what they want you to use. But the wheel, again, for the price is absolutely amazing. So again, R9 base, switch from Fanatic to this, thumbs up. GS wheel, grips could be better. They are loud. So they do include pads in it so that you can dampen the sound, but I have headphones on and my wife doesn't complain. She works and I race at times. Yeah, she hasn't complained that it's too loud, doesn't wake up anybody. So I think it's a win-win there for me. But again, depending on your situation, that may be something that you think needs to be much lower. Pet peeve on this, though, the R9, the power button is back here. So when it's time for me to jump on and I turn it off at night, I've got to reach behind, find it, give it a tap. It'd be nice if it was on the front, but, you know, not really anything that's going to change how I race or what I race or things moving forward. Again, cool logo. Lastly, again, CS wheel by Moza. You can see my eyes through there. But again, this feels great. I wish they put this on there. Like, this feels much better. And they've got, let's see if I can show you. Get an angle just right. But yeah, they've got finger. So when you wrap your hands, now I have small hands. So for me, this is fine. But, you know, that to me feels much better. And I wish they would have put something like this on there. This is a little bit more squeeze to it. Yeah, but this, great wheel. And again, I have to thank Moza for sending this over, which obviously, again, it was attached to that CS hub. But I want to thank them for that. And again, after getting that and using it with this button plate, and I'll take this off. And again, that quick release back here, that NRG style quick release, again, perfect. It makes taking the wheel on and off just that much more fun. But just looking, and ignore the SRB wheel rim on it because this is what I use for GT cars now. But no, it's got the magnetic shifters on it. I've had this for about 3 months. They sent it after I did my initial review, which I thought was awesome. I think it's great that they decided to trust me to look at something and go, tell me what you think. And I'll be honest, outside of obviously this wheel rim wasn't made specifically for this, so it's a little snug, but this rubber right here is awesome. I love it. It is soft in hand. It feels great. I love using it for GT racing and pairing it with the hub. I mean, I have everything I need. I can control my traction control, my brake bias. I can map buttons to my ABS. Everything in my lights, and it's got rotaries, and I can do everything I need with this. So again, all in all, and to summarize this, because again, I know you don't want to sit here and watch me talk for another 30 minutes. I could, but I won't do that to you. 4 months in, I highly recommend it. 4 months in, I tell you, go out. If you're on the fence about switching from Fanatic to Moza, I'd say do it. I'd say do it, one, because based on the cost and the value proposition and the enhancements and all the advantages you're going to get with having their ecosystem, I think is really great. I have not tested out their pedals. At some point, maybe I may, but right now I'm running a set of Heusinkveld Sprint pedals, and I absolutely love those. So unless I was to get those free of charge, I'm not sure I'm going to upgrade to any other pedals right now, because I do like the ones that I have. But for those who are on the fence about getting pedals from Moza Racing, there are some great reviews out there. I do know that, you know, check them out and you'll see that although initially there was some skepticism to their pedals, Once people got the new upgraded versions that were production, great pedals. And I would totally recommend getting. If you're looking at that R5 bundle, I mean, under $600 and you can get an entire setup to start your sim racing, I'd do it in a heartbeat. If you have enough money to upgrade, I'd say get the Moza R9, because having that 9 Newton meters will give you that headroom, and it's pretty much all you really need. I mean, anything more than 9 to 10, honestly, it just gives you that dynamic range so that as you hit bumps and curbs, you can have those spikes. But other than that, I think the Moza R9 is worth your money. Again, if you enjoyed this video, if you enjoyed this content, go ahead and click on that subscribe link. Go ahead and turn on those notifications and give me that thumbs up. Go ahead and leave a comment down below if you have any questions, you need something answered. Maybe I didn't answer something in this video, or you want me to answer something else. I do have some videos coming looking at iRacing versus Assetto Corsa and F122 and Beam NG and Assetto Corsa Competizione, and just what do I think of all of these things as a newbie to sim racing. And now that I've been doing it for a year, I feel like I have some insight, so I'll bring those to you. Again, go ahead and get the setup. If you're on the fence, go ahead and click on the affiliate link down below. It doesn't cost you anything extra. It does put a little commission in my pocket for you making the purchase, so that again, I can purchase more gear and let you know what I think. And again, doesn't cost you a thing. I do work a full-time job, so whether or not you want to go ahead and support me, I totally get it and I totally understand, but I'd appreciate it if you did. So as always, thanks again for watching. Thanks again for enjoying my content. I hope to see you on track. I hope that you go down below and look at the links I have. Again, my website is www.graysdynamics.net. I do have a Discord channel, so if you want to join and chat and ask questions, at some point in the future, I'll be on it more frequently. I do check it every day, but don't have many members on it. And I do look to set up some sim racing content and some races so that we can all join. So again, subscribe, and I'll talk to you later. Peace.